right, it's March. Let's just start with some economic news that's kind of come down in the last week or so. First Quality announced another expansion. How long's First Quality been in Anderson? Tell me about that expansion and what's going on there.
What have they been here? They've been here 11 years. That's how long they've been here. About 10 years that they've been here. And their total investment is approaching $1.5 billion. And we were promised $1 billion. We weren't promised $1.5 billion. And not only have they added this new line, which is between a $250, $300 million investment, because the machine is larger than a football field. It is. It's just larger than a football field. And they will add 60 jobs. And they've purchased land adjacent to where they are. So we're pretty sure that their long-term plans center heavily around Anderson, South Carolina. So we're very pleased with that. And we are finishing up the final paperwork on another 200 new jobs for Anderson County. We're very close on that. So that should be coming out shortly.
That's an existing company?
That's an existing company that we recruited about 8 years ago. And they are continuing to expand and evolve. So that will be another 200 new jobs. And we have even more jobs than that on the horizon. Plus we have a lot of new prospects that are looking in the county, ranging everywhere from agricultural manufacturing, if that makes any sense, to more manufacturing and more diversified manufacturing. And when we received the TTI building, the old Ryobi building on 28, that we had plans to turn that into a business incubator and a soft landing zone. Well, that space is filled now with existing companies in Anderson and new companies who are perfecting their products before they move out into the general world. So we have all of that going. So everything on the economic development side is going wonderfully well in Anderson, and it's only going to increase. We haven't seen any slacking off of anything.
And when you talk about First Quality and TTI and some of the bigger companies, Arthrex that have come here, they have all surpassed what they promised.
Yes, yes, they have all surpassed. Arthrex has already submitted plans, or in the initial stages of submitting plans for a new facility on their site. So there's going to be another building up there very quickly. So that's coming. So again, they're expanding more than they told us that they would.
And Tri-County Tech's been working with y'all on all these companies when you're talking about to provide the company.
Tri-County Tech works with us on just about every. I can't think of one that we haven't worked in partnership with Tri-County Tech, and that includes from the initial recruiting to getting them here to providing service, as I call it, service after the sale, which we're very proud about in Anderson County, because when you get here, we don't forget you. We nurture you, we help you, we run interference for you, we become your advocate.
And are there any other big announcements that are close, or?
Yep, there's some big ones that are close, but holding my fingers.
Explain, it's just because we talk about this a lot. Explain to people why some of these have to be kept so quiet for so long, even into second and third reading. Sometimes they kind of.
Well, sometimes we're still in competition with other sites, and the companies request it. Sometimes, again, we're in competition with other sites, and we don't want to say, hey, here we are, and then they say, well, what kind of deal are you getting from them? You tell me what you're getting from them, and we'll double it or quadruple it or something like that. So it's not to keep anything from anybody, but if you make it, A, violate the company's wishes, and B, you start putting all your business out on the street, well, somebody's going to take your business, and that happens all the time, because economic development's a lot like gunfighting. And every economic developer, including me, likes to put notches on their gun. And if you can steal one from somebody, that's good. And remember, a whole lot of economic developers in South Carolina got their start here in Anderson County. So not only is it cross-county competition, it's also sometimes a personal competition from people you've worked with. So.
And y'all have made a commitment to. There was a day when just bringing anything in here that would provide a job.
Don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to do that anymore. And those people aren't looking at us anymore because our wage rates, as I've talked earlier, have gone from $13 to $20 average. And so the lesser people aren't, they can come in here and offer somebody $13 an hour and expect to find anybody to work in a manufacturing plant when you can go across the street and make better. So it's been a process of self-elimination, but it's also, they say, well, these guys are here, these are quality people. We need to come in here with them, because if they're finding employees that can work in their types of industries, we can find employees that would work in our types of industries. So with Tri-County Tech, our vocational technical schools, the two we have in the county, they're doing a wonderful job. They're a feeder system for people to have good lives. And you have Anderson University, which I've touched on briefly, and their applied engineering program is also going to be another thing that's going to allow us to attract industry, because they're going to do a unique situation where you actually begin doing engineering instead of taking biology 101, find out if that's what you want to do. So we're very excited about that program getting up and running, and have tried to make some contacts between AU and some of our existing companies. And Clemson University still is a big part of what we do because of where they are and the graduates that they put out in electrical, chemical, mechanical, all the different fields that they put out. Plus, their agricultural school, because we're flirting with a very nice agricultural project right now, that has a lot to do with Clemson University. So we take all of these assets, plus Interstate 85, plus Lake Hartwell, and in many, many cases, Anderson County is very hard to beat. It's just very hard to beat to get everything that we have in one place, and we're between Atlanta and Charlotte, and all of this is old hat, but we hear it every day. And you can be in the mountains in less than an hour, and you can be at the beach if you go to Charleston straight down at the right time of the day, be there in 3 hours, right time of the day.
Driving the right way.
Driving the right way. You can do it. I've done it. So wow. God's blessed us by where we are and who we are and what we do.
Well, speaking of driving, one of the things you've been working on is transportation to some of these jobs. Or is there any update on that?
Well, there's a seminar today that we will be attending on rural transportation funds. So we're going to see if we can't snatch some of those monies, and we're still trying to put that together, still have some contact with Uber, Senior Solutions, and others to see if we can fully develop this and at least begin a pilot program with one industry, if not, before we can take it larger. But that's a goal. That's a dream, but I think that's the thing that fits best.
The other thing, Council just passed new regulations on high-density housing. Explain why they thought that was an important move to make.
Well, what you are getting is like in Powdersville with Councilman Jimmy Davis. He is literally slammed with developers, a lot of them from other places who have discovered Anderson County, who are coming over here and building homes as hard and as fast as they can. This was council's attempt to make the lots a little bit larger, going from 8 to 10, and again, this is in unincorporated areas, not zoned areas, and to increase the size of setbacks, and to do some things like, if you have been given approval on a subdivision, then you need to finish or at least start on that subdivision within 18 months rather than you just land banking away and waiting for the best deal to walk by. And the same thing with sewer. If we're going to be running sewer lines all over Anderson County, then if you get approval and you need sewer, we need you need to be hooked up on that sewer within 18 months. We just don't need a dry line sitting out there just wasting time. So those are some of the things they're doing. Plus they're also looking at doing the conservation subdivision, which will allow creative designs for subdivisions, which I think we're very excited about, because hopefully it's going to lead to more green space and some interesting developments that we maybe haven't seen a lot of around Anderson County. But if you will look in any newspaper, if you look in the Greenville News, you look in the Post and Courier Greenville edition, Oconee papers, everybody is slammed with growth problems. Everybody's trying to deal with it. City of Greenville is discussing a moratorium on building in downtown Greenville. Town of Pendleton is looking to put impact fees and stop certain types of development. City of Clemson right now, for all practical purposes, is closed for new development because so many people are flocking here, and in some cases, the infrastructure can't keep up, the schools can't keep up, so, excuse me, there's a happy balance somewhere, and that's what council's trying to achieve.
Yeah, people forget about the infrastructure stuff that goes along with if somebody comes in and puts 200 units on 12 acres or something, the challenges that you guys have to face to deal with that.
Well, another thing council's done, in the past, we'd allowed the developer to do the traffic study. Now, they still have to do a traffic study, but we oversee the traffic study. Because if you go to a little two-lane road and you put 300 houses on there, you got traffic problems. You have dangerous situations. So we're trying to put these in place. And we already had a very good foundation in these areas, but the growth is just outstripping everything in the entire upstate of what people can deal with.
And like you just mentioned, and I think it was mentioned the other night, Chairman Tommy Dunn mentioned, the other counties are looking at very similar things that are already, these
Yes.
will be in place everywhere, just we're maybe first on the list.
Yes, well, we are doing some things that other people are looking at, and again, we haven't come to the point where we've closed development like those places that I just mentioned. Because when you have new industries and you have new growth and you have young people moving here as opposed to in the past where they moved out of here, I mean, like TTI, I've talked to you last time, they're still looking for engineers. They can't get enough engineers here, so these people are moving here to work for cutting-edge companies. They've got to have some place to live. But I think what you're going to see with some of these rule changes are some interesting new places to live and some interesting concepts, especially with that conservation subdivision.
You and I are old enough to remember when home rule kicked in.
Yes.
There was a push early on for countywide zoning.
Yes.
That never happened, and that would have it helped a lot with what we're looking at right now. For this, somebody had some foresight.
It does, but Anderson County's zoning system works this way, that an area has to come, do a petition, and request to be zoned. Powdersville is suffering uncontrollable growth. But the last time, and this hasn't been that long time ago, a petition was sent around the community for people to sign up to hold that election. They didn't get enough signatures on that petition to allow a vote for zoning up or down. So
that's why we've never seen it over the decades here.
yes.
Any updates from the census at all? Are they still running
We
behind?
are still hearing that we will have some information in July. We know the state will get it first because they have to draw the congressional districts, but we're looking in July. But then we get it in July, there's an election, a primary coming up next June. So that's really going to be hammering on what you're going to do. And we know that the county council lines are going to change, and we know House districts are going to change, and we know Senate districts are going to change. I mean, that's just a given.
What would it take to add county council members? How much growth would we have?
It requires a referendum to do that. But I don't know whether you want 12 like Greenville.
Well, maybe 9.
And possibly 9, but it requires a referendum to do that because for the longest time, Anderson County had 5.
Right.
Then they went to 7. And at some point in time, it will probably go to 9.
Just because with the growth you were talking about,
Yes.
It's hard to get representation when the areas are so
Yes.
big. Speaking of growth, the distribution is now underway on that $6.1 million for renters and landlords.
Yes.
Y'all are working with AIM, and I know the applications have been coming in fast and furious on their new website.
Yep.
Have you heard anything from Christie how it's going?
I understand it's going very well. I've also know that other people are asking them to create additional locations, which we're all for because we don't want anybody to not have a chance to take advantage of this. So it's going well, and I think the demand, I know the demand's out there, and again, people are requesting additional sites, which is great, especially if they're requesting them because that means there's a need and they see that there.
And it's renters and some
Landlords.
some landlords,
Yes,
yeah. Not
yes.
all landlords, I mean,
No,
but some landlords.
renters and landlords, yes.
Speaking of new website, isn't Anderson County about to launch a new website?
Maybe by the end of the week. Maybe by the end of the week. They were debugging yesterday. So we're very excited about that, but they were debugging yesterday.
And that kind of goes hand in glove with the announcement earlier this month when you launched the ACSC app.
Yep.
Remind people how that app is good and can help them.
Well, you can do just about anything you want to with Anderson County on that app. Find out information, adopt animals, pay bills, your taxes, things like that. Find out news in your area. We can target certain areas if we're going to have a public meeting to zero in on that area. That app will keep you really up to speed on what's going on in Anderson County, and it's interactive. If you see a pothole, take a picture, send it to us. We'll go patch that pothole. We'll get back to you and tell you when we did it. So very, very, very user-friendly and very hands-on.
And if people have ideas of missing features, they're still working on it. It's still in development.
It is still in development because it will be expanding.
Unemployment in Anderson kind of followed the statewide numbers over the last month. Slight increase. We're now at 5%. How fast do you think we'll see that number drop?
I think you'll see it drop real quickly because that's a seasonal bump that you get on that 5% after seasonal employment in January. And then the numbers were always kind of crazy around them. But I think you'll start seeing them go back down, especially with the new jobs we have coming and the new industries moving in. I think you'll see that change rapidly for the better.
I think I saw on the workforce we have 3,000 something people that are a part of the workforce who are out of work in the county. That's probably going to be 205. 200.
I'm hedging my bets on that now. I've always said 204. The latest official thing I saw was 203,500, and I'm just believing it's going to be much higher than that.
People are not reporting if it's that low. I think we've got too many people underreported.
But I think you always have that problem of people underreporting. So we'll see what it comes out.
Well, shifting on to Green Pond Landing and Event Center just hosted a couple of national fishing tournaments, and that in the middle of upgrades and construction. What's the latest on the upgrades at Green Pond?
Well, they're underway. The amphitheater's underway. Some road work is underway. The dock construction is about to get underway. But next Tuesday at 10 o'clock, we will have a huge announcement at Green Pond. And that will be next Tuesday at 10 o'clock at Green Pond. And it will be probably the most significant announcement you can have in freshwater fishing in the United States. But that's all that I can say at this point in time.
So if I threw out
I will not say
a fishing line here, you wouldn't bite?
No, I'm not going to bite because I'm sworn to secrecy.
So that's the 31st is where?
Yeah, whatever next Tuesday is at 10 o'clock.
Okay. That new amphitheater will be used for a lot of things rather than just fishes and weigh-in and fishing tournaments.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can have concerts by the lake. I'm hoping that people can go out there and have lectures. I'm hoping that families will go out there on the weekends and just hang around on the seats and have a picnic. Again, Green Pond, yes, it's known for fishing, but you can just go out there and just walk around and look at the lake and walk up and down those roads, which will put you in magnificent shape, or go have a picnic. It's open to everybody in Anderson County. And, you know, I mean, we've got people in Pittsburgh talking about it. We've got people at Rockville Beach on the coast of South Carolina talking about it. I mean, it's getting a national reputation, but it's for the people in Anderson, so they should go out there and use it. And we're also, and we have a meeting on this at 12 o'clock, the Shores of Asbury should be doing a opening here this spring. Not the full tilt project, but hopefully they'll have the floating water park in and some campsites. I mean, I got a call at my house Sunday. How do I book a reservation at the Shores of Asbury? I said, ma'am, I can put you in touch with them, but I'm not the fella doing it. And we're also looking at opening up Weldon Island, opening that back up, and another one. So we're looking at providing more access to the lake. And you know, one of the things I think people sometimes forget is what a jewel Saddler's Creek is. And I don't know if everybody takes advantage of Saddler's Creek like they should, because that's a pretty place, well maintained, and it's just a nice place to go.
And the county is, like you said, looking at other closed Corps of Engineers places that we can step in.
Right.
And all of these have an eye towards accessibility.
Accessibility, to make it available to everybody in Anderson County and everybody else who wants to come here. And I mean, it's a huge lake. We need to take advantage of it.
And when people hear ADA, they think about people in wheelchairs, but it's also for aging populations that they can go out and enjoy it as well.
Absolutely. And
that's one of the things Dolly Cooper Park's new dock and walking trail, disc golf, baseball field, all these other upgrades are getting close. This phase should probably be ready in time for the Saluda River Rally. Are you going to paddle a kayak this year?
I don't know whether I'm going to paddle a kayak or whether I'm going to help people put kayaks in, but I'll definitely be there in some capacity. But I've paddled it many times, and it's a beautiful trip. And we've got movie night coming up at Dolly Cooper Park. that people are working on right now. So that's going to be nice, and we expect that. And now because you have somebody on the Saluda River who's actually doing you can rent inner tubes and they'll pick you up and do all that stuff. It's getting a whole lot more traffic, and hopefully we can encourage Greenville to start development on the other side. So really make that an asset and get people to enjoy that, because there's nothing like a day on the river, especially if you're in a kayak and you're just floating down. It's mighty peaceful.
Well, a river is a very unique asset.
It's very unique, and I mean,
It's very unique is unusual. It's a unique access.
It's a unique access, but I mean, here's a lake, but a river has twists, turns. You can see all kinds of stuff. It's nice.
Now, have you been to Dolly Cooper Park since they've got all the upgrades right now?
I went to Dolly Cooper Park early one Sunday morning for the very reason to go see what was going on, and it was a Sunday morning. It's been about a month ago, and it was literally covered up with people on the walking trail that walks the length of the river right now, which is concrete, which is beautiful, and people were out there just walking around. We're getting ready to open up our first baseball field at Dolly Cooper Park, and so the youth recreation group in Powdersville will have a baseball field. They already have a football field, and sooner rather than later they'll be unveiling the master plan for Dolly Cooper Park.
And those new docks are nice down there for the launch. They haven't seen it since they've upgraded the launch. It used to be like a dirt trail. Now
now it's a beautiful walkway, and it looks like $9 million.
And there's a strategic plan in place to do even more in the future.
Yes.
Why is that important to that park to keep growing?
Well, because of that huge population in that area. I mean, there's a huge demand for recreational opportunities in the Powdersville area, and we need to meet that demand. I mean, we're also doing some additional work at Hurricane Springs Park and things like that, but I mean, that demand's not going to go away.
Speaking of demand, East-West Parkway continues to have people riding and walking and all. Any upgrades planned out that way?
But you know that the trail, which really is not the East-West Parkway, but they have secured all the right-of-way.
That was my next question.
For the trail from the Civic Center to Highway 81. All the right-of-way
all the way to the YMCA.
All of it has been acquired.
It's to the YMCA,
yes.
Right?
So that project really could actually start construction this year.
Really? So it'd go from ANMED, so people can get it clear, it'd go from the ANMED track out to the East-West Parkway?
No. It kind of parallels the Parkway. Kind of parallels it. Don't get fooled.
So it doesn't connect to the...
Yeah, it does, but that's not the bulk of it.
Okay.
I mean, it's a new trail, and it goes
it's
all
a new
the way.
trail, but it starts on McConnell Springs Road down there behind the...
Next time we meet, I will get you a map so you can show people.
Okay.
Because if you think it's just going to go boom and hit the East-West Parkway, that's not right.
Because from there it goes behind Target and back in over to the Civic Center.
To the Civic Center.
But on the other end, I think it's going to be important to people either walking to Midway Elementary School or other things. That part of the trail that goes up through there.
Look, I think along with the East-West Parkway, when you get that trail, people are going to be amazed how many people use that.
How many people walk? Yeah. That answered my next question about that track. The county has also continued to expand and do COVID testing and vaccinations. That seems to be going really. I heard Josh do a presentation last night. That seems to be really been successful. How many vaccinations the county's been able to give?
Well, our partnership with ANMED and the county and DHEC has worked wonderfully well. I don't know how many Josh said, but I would say right now that 33 or 34% of the residents of Anderson County have received at least one shot. And some days we're doing, 400 and 500 a day out of the Civic Center. So, the more people who get shots, the better off we're going to be, and the sooner we can return to life as we probably will never know it that way again, but a different way. One of the interesting things is, where's the flu,
Where's colds?
Yeah, but because people are wearing masks and they're socially distancing. And I talked to some people about that, and they said, well, it's got to be masked and people washing their hands and not getting around, and not so much international travel.
True, and they were saying that cold, strep throat, whooping cough, all these things are almost all non-existent this past year.
It's crazy. I'm knock on wood about the flu, but
right. Well, I mean, it's one of those things where some countries are even not letting people travel or congregate unless they have a card saying they've been vaccinated.
Well, Krispy Kreme Donuts was offering a free donut yesterday if you had a vaccination card.
That's a start.
That's a start.
That's a start. I know the council's working on the budget right now.
Yep.
Hard to believe we're in, just a couple of months away from having to present a budget.
Yep.
What are the biggest challenges that you know about right now?
Getting over COVID is one of the biggest challenges we have, and meet the demands of a growing population and provide the services that Anderson County needs. And those are the big challenges. I mean, people don't want to talk about it. One of the big challenges we have is sewer and putting sewer in the ground. And I've said this 15 times, but I mean, we're beginning to see commercial activity that has been somewhere else, but not in Anderson. So I think that's a good thing. And then the other thing is, like council's done with their land use stuff, is try to preserve the best parts of Anderson County, and working hard on that. But again, address roads, recreation issues. Really, it's what people tell the council is what we do. It's not we're sitting around thinking around, boy, here's a way to spend money. It's trying to respond to what's best for Anderson County. And our council members, as you well know, Greg, are pretty close to the population. We're not that big where your council person is not somebody you can pick up the phone and say, hey, I hate this. We're still the right size where you can get in touch with them any time of the day or night, and they're going to respond to you. And so we're getting constant feedback on what people want in Anderson County.
And you mentioned sewer. Pendleton Mayor Frank Crenshaw just told me that y'all are making real progress on the cooperative efforts y'all are doing with Pendleton and Clemson.
And we're making very good progress on that. So we look forward to the joint Pendleton, Clemson, Anderson County wastewater sewer treatment plant that will reduce the number of treatment plants going into Lake Hartwell and clean up some that shouldn't even be allowed to be in operation. So we think not only is it going to give us some capacity, but it's also going to be good for the environment.
Yeah, a lot of people ask about shutting down old ones. I've heard a lot of people asking that question. When are some of these going to be shut down?
Well, there's some going to be, as soon as we get that plant up and running, they're going to be shut down, and they need to be shut down.
How about meetings on the Courthouse Square property? Anything else, any progress there at all?
No, still trying to find out something that will make sense for generations. That's where we are right there on that.
Still meeting with the same group?
Still meeting with the same group, beginning to think about the possibility of doing other things. Just don't know. Just don't want to pull that trigger incorrectly.
And we talked about before, would it be expensive to just plant grass there in the meantime? Or?
No, but it would be expensive to just plant grass because, as you know, there are a lot of foundations there.
True.
But if you plant grass, then you probably will never put a building there. So if you plant that grass, why don't you plant that grass and turn that into a park and make it look beautiful? So that's an idea bouncing around right now.
Yeah, a lot of people like that idea. I mean,
Yeah.
I can see pros and cons
Yes.
of that. Any idea when council meetings will return to the historic courthouse?
Council meetings have returned the historic courthouse starting in April.
So in April they will return.
They will return.
Okay. And this last question is just somebody was asking me. I know there's county flags, and of course the airport has all the national flags. So we have the most international investment here. There's county flags, state flags, and U.S. flags. How often are they replaced, and how does that system work?
Well, that is under facilities, and we try to keep them looking crisp and new. Sometimes we fall down on that job, but we also supply county flags and other flags to every municipality in the county. So if you see a flag that you think needs to be replaced, get on that app and tell us, and we'll probably replace it within 6 hours. And we also strive to make sure that they are properly displayed and properly honored. So, we have a lot of people in Anderson County who know how to display the American flag, and they are not shy about telling us when we make a mistake.
And what about the South Carolina, the two South Carolina flags? Do you have a preference?
I do. I like the one that looks just a slightly bit raggedier than the other one. The other version looks too stylized for me. And I know what those trees look like, okay? I've seen them all my life. They're not perfect like that. But that's just my preference.
Anything else people need to know this month?
I think that's all. Just if it would stop raining, it would certainly be a benefit to Anderson County. And on Earth Day, we're going to have a sign blitz. So if you have a sign that's illegal on Earth Day, it will be gone. Then we will take those signs to a place and hold them for about a week. But we're getting lots of complaints about signs everywhere, and it's just time to have another sign blitz. And Earth Day is the perfect day to do it.
And the next council meeting is April 6th, and it'll be here,
Yes,
right?
it will be here, and We will have honors and awards at 6 o'clock. Regular council meeting will be at 6:30.